Hi, it's Paula from Pola Quilting. Welcome back. Today we are going to be putting together our Christmas tree skirt. So we have made block 1 and 2 and we just need to add some simple squares to make it into the shape. Let's get started. Right, so it's time to put our Christmas tree skirt together, and I've got my grid which is available on Pola Quilting with Friends page, so go to the documents there, you'll be able to download it from there. So some of the blocks are directional, that's why it's important to have it in hand when you're putting it together. So I've got prepared 22 Christmas tree blocks, 8 plain blocks which will be for the middle slit and the corners, and 19 Christmas presents. So let's just put it together then. So in the first at the top left is going to be just a plain block which we will be cutting later after the quilting, and then we have a Christmas tree. Okay, I won't be boring you how I'm putting it up, you know. There is a layout here, download it and you can do it yourself. So let me speed up that step and we'll go to the next phase. Okay, so that's our layout. So once it's all stitched, obviously I need to quilt it, and I'm not going to be making any fancy quilting because, you know, it will be lying down under Christmas tree. So it's not like anyone will be, you know, going under to have a look what it looks like. So but just, you know, just have a look at the layout on the directions. So the Christmas trees are going that way. Oh, I put the wrong this one. To make sure wherever you come around to that Christmas tree, you know, the trees on that piece will come towards you. So I think it will be quite nice looking when it's all done. Okay, so I've put my blocks all together. I did quilted it as per normal quilt, 3 layers. I mean, if I had some sort of leftovers of nice blanket, I only had some very not nice blankets left, I would probably just put a fleece blanket at the back, but like I said, because I didn't have it, I just backed it up with a piece of fabric as well. It does look very nice, to be fair. You know, it would have made nice quilt, small quilt, probably not for kids though, I would say, because of those buttons. I've quilted it like with the zigzags, nothing spectacular. I've got some series now going about how to do the free motion quilting. One of them will be that design which is echoing triangles. You can have a look at those. It was easier to do with the free motion quilting when I was going around those Christmas tree, because obviously you cannot go into between the buttons. But if you don't have inclination to do it with the free motion quilting, you can just go on the you know, on the edges here with like just a normal foot with the zigzag kind of pattern. I did that as well in one of my tutorials on the like examples how you can quilt with the just normal foot. So have a look at that playlist, quilting designs. You can find some examples there. So the next step is very hard one. No, I'm joking. There's nothing hard in this project. So I'm taking my cup, which is holding my needles and pins, and I will put it in the middle and I will trace the circle. So that will be where the top of the Christmas tree the leg will go. And then from here, when I cut or trace the circle, I will then kind of make myself a mark where I want to go with that slit. And I'm not going to making it straight. You can do if you like. Just cut it straight here. I'll just do a little bit of wavy because I'm going to be using a ready-made bias tape. I can account for any angles. So I think it will be look a little bit better, you know, nicer, more fancy if that line is not going to be straight. But you do straight if you worry that you will not be able to put that bias tape on it. Now I do use ready-made. I've got lots of colors, so I will show you when I get to the machine. You can make one yourself. Just make sure that for any curves you have in any projects, you need to cut your strips on bias. Straight strips will not give you that little bit of stretch needed to finish it off. And then for the four corners of that quilt, well, not quilt, still quilt, soon to be skirt, in the diagram I was showing you, just cut this one on diagonal here. So this is how the edge will look like. And again, if you fancy, you can, instead of doing the straight edge here, just curve it, use a plate or any other you know, circle you have around the house just to curve it. Oh, you just make it by hand. Honestly, nobody will be looking at it. Everyone will be, you know, looking at the whole project and how cool it looks. Nobody will notice if there's a little bit not even here. So I will take it now to my sewing machine, do all of those cuts, and then put the bias tape, and it will be ready. So I cut all my shapes, and now it's time to put the bias binding. So as mentioned, I'm using ready-made one, and I had some blue ones, so I think that will go nicely around. Just take this one on this side. How I want to finish. I want to finish by machine. So if you want to finish binding by machine, make sure you start from the left side of the piece. At least that's how I do that. And I do start a little bit away from the beginning, because obviously then I will need to lift it up to join two together. And with ready-made bias tape it's easy because they are double folded, so where you want to stitch is already there. And then when you turn around, I will just top stitch close to the edge. Find the straight edge of whatever project you work on, and that's where you want to start stitching on. So I'm getting to the edge where is that curve to go inside that quilt. It's kind of this quilt, isn't it? So I can call it that way. I may have some noises because my son decided he wants to play outside with a ball. So just by my window. Anyway, so we are at that edge here, so I will do here the same process as I would do for any kind of corner of the quilt. So I stopped a quarter inch from the edge because that's more or less where the that kind of iron on fold is at the moment. So, and then I just bend it to fit into the next curve. Definitely will be easier if you do it straight, if that's your wish, but I'm just thinking it will look nicely with a little bit of curves there, but we'll see. And you just go slowly, keeping your stitch on that folded line. And it's that ready-made bias tape is very easy to kind of stretch a little bit or give it a little bit. It's on the bias, so it's easy to work with. So now I'm getting close to my circle inside, so definitely a spot to slow down. again, stop quarter from the edge, now lift the foot, I don't think I did the 1/4 inch from the edge there, got a little bit too, stopped a little bit too fast, so I just go back and add few stitches here. Okay, that's better. Literally like 2 stitches, but it wasn't there, so go back and amend. Fold on itself the same way as any other corner and put down. And just work slowly around that curve. Literally you will need to move that project every couple of stitches just to follow that curve very well. And if you're struggling to kind of keep with the curve, you may try to narrow down the stitches so they don't go too quickly, so you can easier kind of keep yourself on that spot you're looking for. Okay, so last stretch here to finish the binding on the left hand side, and we just need to finish or link together the ends. So I'm not doing any fancy diagonal stitches here or anything like that. My linking is always easy. I'll just trim one of the ends, and the other end need to just go over the first end, the bottom one, by, well, whatever your distance here is for the stitching times 2. So basically if you're stitching with the 1/4 inch, that will be 1/2 inch. If your stitch is a little bit bigger, then it will be a little bit bigger. With the bias tape it's easy because they do stretch a little bit, so even if you cut it slightly too short, it will stretch to get you that distance. So I'm just cutting it to 1/2 inch. I think I need to cut it a little bit smaller. Here you go. The key thing when you're sewing the binding tape with this method, and it doesn't matter whether it's a ready-made bias tape or you made it yourself from the strips, is narrow down a stitch length. So I normally use 1.8 or even 1.5 on the settings, because then it doesn't even matter what color thread you have used, because it will not see through the stitching. And then just check if, you know, just put it flat and see you're happy with the how it was stitched, that you don't have any kind of bumps. Make sure it's not too loose. It can be a little bit tight because, like I said, it will stretch, it will give, but don't make it loose because then you will have a pucker when you get to stitching that side. So once those are connected, so you can see no fuss, 2-minute, you know, 2-minute job. I can now finish stitching. And this side is ready. So now I can finish on the right side of the quilt or Christmas tree skirt. just by pulling and overlapping a little bit of that stitch you can see from the other side stitching. So I will be just going overlapping a little bit, just smoothen up with your finger and then you stitch. Now options are you either use color thread coordinated with your binding and you just do straight stitch. I like to use here decorative stitches, and normally I try to pick the stitch type which kind of coordinates with what I've got on the quilt. So because I've got zigzags on my quilt, I can choose a zigzag stitch to go on the binding. But you choose what you like, or you know, you may have your favorite type of stitch as well. So I like this stitch here. So again, try to start where the binding is quite straight, so it's going to be easier to kind of do that first move. And then as you go, just push with your finger the edge of the quilt in and pull with the other finger from the other hand the binding on top of it. Now, using decorative stitches means that you don't have to worry how they go back at the other side, because normally if you use straight stitch, you would like to look very nice on the other side if you're doing it by machine. And it is quite tough to make it so it looks, you know, exactly the same all around. It's not easy thing to do. But if you use decorative stitches, it's going to be looking like it's supposed to look like that, so it's much easier even if you're just using a zigzag stitch. So I'm here at the curve, and with that bias tape it's so much easier to do. I'll just move the camera a little bit closer so you can see what I'm talking about. So you can see I'm here at my corner, and I'm still doing the same thing. I'm pushing with one finger and I'm kind of rolling with the other finger on top, so that edge here meets just behind that stitch from the sewing from underside. And there's a really nice give to that bias tape. Okay, here I am at the point where we have the curves, so I need to first do the corner and then the curves. The curves are easy, it will be exactly the same as I did the corners of the project, but I've got a quite sharp corner here, and again it is very flexible tape, so I will just always go from the bottom first, make that edge the way you want it, and then put the top one on top of it, and again finger press. You can put a pin, you can put a one of those wonder clips to hold it for you. Now with this, because it's a sharp corner, I'm not aiming for, you know, lovely metered corners here. As far as it's, you know, nice and tidy, that's good enough for me. There's a thread here, just trying to put it away. Here we go, it's out. So I'll get a little bit closer, and then I'm doing the bottom first, and then I will do this on top because it's easier as machine going from the top to sew it this way. And then I will just pivot. And like you've seen before, all the curves, no problem at all to go around it. And here it is, my finished Christmas tree skirt. I really like how it ended up. You can see I've put it here on the tree stand, so it nicely wraps around it, and it is quite big, you know, big enough to then put some maybe presents on top of it when the time is, you know, right for it, or put some other Christmas decorations if you have. But if you even don't put anything, that's got already so much detail on it that you don't have to put anything for more decorations. I am very happy with this project, and I'm glad that I've managed to finish this before the end of the year, this year round. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this mini series to create the Christmas tree skirt, and you should be able to do it yourself now. If you have any questions, please pop them in the comments below, or you can join me on the Pola Quilting with Friends Facebook page and ask your questions there. We are all, as a group, happy to support you to complete your project. As usual, have a look at the description for all the links and the other project mentioned in this tutorial. The next project will be to make a Christmas table runner or table topper or mats, depending how you work out your sizes. So be sure to subscribe to not miss on that tutorial. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.